Your ability to communicate will effectively decide what you get out of this life. Hello, I am SENTHIL and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you 9 golden tips to skyrocket your communication skills and set you well along your way to becoming a conversational ninja. Alright, let's do this. Number 1. Keep it simple. If you're the kind of person who prides themselves on being the smartest person in the room, verbally bamboozling your audience as your social weapon of choice, a bit like me right now, then there can be a tendency to overdo your dialogue in the name of trying to sound clever. But the best communicators always find the easiest way to get from point A to point B, to be laconic. If you can get your point across in 4 sentences instead of 8, 3 words instead of 6, simpler expressions instead of hard, then why wouldn't you? Always try to find the simplicity that lies at the end of complexity. You'll come across a lot more palatable and appeal to a wider array of people. And that's not only desirable, it's smart. Number 2. Slow it down. You know that feeling when you're talking and you get a little nervous, and your mouth suddenly starts to track ahead of your thoughts as your sentences begin to crumble. Happens to everyone at least some of the time. Certainly happens to me. If you can relate, leave a comment. And you know that when you're relaxed and feeling comfortable, it never seems to happen at all. So it's not a fundamental problem with your ability to speak, but more with the pressure that you put on your brain by rushing. The way to nip this in the bud is to slow everything right down. It's okay to pause for thought when you're talking, to give your brain the time it needs to buffer the next block of words before you utter them. And just by reducing the speed at which you talk, you'll also slow down your breathing and lower your anxiety. Problem solved. Many people can go an entire lifetime just thinking that they're bad at talking, without ever realizing that the solution is in fact this simple. Number 3. Pump up the volume. Once you've got a handle on the pace and rhythm of your speech, then it's time to direct your attention onto making sure that people can actually hear what you have to say. To many people, the thought of drawing undue attention to themselves is straight up mortifying. And giving into that fear by speaking too quietly is one way to go about avoiding that. But you never want the people you're talking to be constantly asking you to speak up or to repeat yourself. It's as frustrating for them as it is for you, and it kills the flow of a conversation and makes a person look meek. So to remedy this, first of all, realize that you've got nothing to be ashamed of and proudly take ownership of your words. And second of all, try to get into the habit of summoning your words from your gut instead of extracting them from your throat. And by doing that, your voice will automatically have more resonance, more carry, and more volume. And everybody will be receiving you loud and clear. Number 4. Don't upspeak. Hold on a second. Let me try that again. Number 4. Don't upspeak. When you inflect upwards at the end of your sentences, it instantly telegraphs a lack of self-assurance, like you're seeking the approval of the listener. It's supplicating behavior and a one-way ticket to losing respect in a person's eyes. Instead, start getting into the habit of inflecting downwards or flat at the end of your sentences. It sends a signal that you are content to say what you have to say and need no validation in return. And something as subtle as that can entirely warp the way people perceive you in life. Number 5. Curiosity. Some people treat conversations as a one-way street, talking exclusively about themselves and showing absolutely no interest in you whatsoever. And afterwards, you're left sitting there feeling empty as if someone just stole something from you. And you naturally resent the individual in question and probably want to avoid all future interactions with that person for the rest of your life. And the takeaway here is, don't be that guy. That person will probably go through life combing through every willing participant like a parasite, burning bridge after bridge. But that's their cross to bear. You do you, and hold them up as an example of how not to be. Conversations shouldn't be a zero-sum game, where one person wins while the other one loses. If someone has the courtesy and the decency to show interest in you, then play fair and do likewise. Which brings us neatly on to number 6. Listen. So much can be made of what we are saying and how we are coming across, that we can sometimes be guilty of failing to actually listen to the other person, just waiting for our next window to talk. I know that when someone does this to me, I instantly check out. It's as if the other person is just using you as a mirror or a camera to watch themselves speak. A bit like me right now. If you carry on like this, then you'll start to see a pattern emerge where the same people just don't seem to want to engage you in conversation anymore. Always have the common decency to listen intently to anyone you're involved in a conversation with. And if you really can't, then maybe that's just not the right person for you to be talking to. And there's nothing wrong with that, just move on to someone you find a little more stimulating. And fingers crossed they think the same thing about you. Number 7. Rationality. When opinions collide, it can usually go one of two ways: debate or argument. The main difference being that a debate sets out with the premise to get to the bottom of the dispute, whereas an argument sets out with no real premise at all other than to escalate the friction between the parties involved, with outcomes ranging from everyone walking away a little riled up but unscathed, to ambulances and police cars arriving at the aftermath. Oh no! If you know what I'm talking about, leave a comment. Yet arguments continue to happen the world over. But if more people just had the ability to zoom out from the situation, then probably most of them could be avoided. The trick is to approach all disputes from the outset with a rational mindset. And all that really means is that if you ever find yourself in the middle of an argument, remember to stay logical and keep your composure for the duration, regardless of what's being said or how contentious other people are being. One calming influence can often be all it takes to diffuse a situation before it even has a chance to get out of hand. The more calm and collected you are, the more the possibility for real debate opens up to you. And with good debate comes mutual respect. The best kind of respect. Number 8. Eye contact. Everyone's always going on about eye contact. But why? Well, man to man, you get more respect. Man to woman, let's just say a lady's sensitivity to good eye contact is on another level and can literally make or break the way she feels about you the first time she meets you. It's one of those things we can all get a little lazy about even if we used to have it nailed down. So if you notice yourself slipping, then remember to bring it back the next time you're having a conversation. Don't go overboard with the laser eyes though. It can make you look a little insane. The word to keep in mind is fractionation, which in this case means holding eye contact for a few moments, then breaking it for a bit, then bringing it right back. That way, whoever's on the business end of your eye mesmer, hopefully you'll have the desired effect with none of the drawbacks. Number 9. Humility. Whenever you meet someone new, never forget that you're inadvertently showcasing a product, namely you. And the way people receive you is mostly a direct result of the stuff we've already covered in this video, in conjunction with the way you go about selling yourself. And there's a fine balancing act that comes into play where you either act with humility or run the risk of coming across as a show-off. So finding ways to subtly weave in your value and self-aggrandizing stories instead of blurting them out in rapid-fire fashion is a skill in and of itself. It's a far more effective way of delivering your value whilst endearing yourself and managing to retain some likability in the process. Like with all social skills, calibration is king. They're called skills for a reason, and as such require much in the way of commitment and practice to truly get to grips with. Some of us take them for granted, some of us not so much. And if that applies to you, then that's nothing to be ashamed of, and you're definitely not alone. Just don't ever close yourself off to the notion that you can change. Social skills are like muscles, and just like muscles, they can be trained and developed. And the more you train them, the more your self-confidence will grow and crystallize in ways which can't easily be taken away from you. I am SENTHIL, and thank you very much for watching. And remember, accept the things you can't change and change the things you can't accept. See you next time.